"Defendant, please rise." The judge's voice echoed through the courtroom as a hush fell over the room. Everyone turned to look at the woman in the olive-green sweater, her hair pulled back in a simple bun, hands folded quietly in front of her. She stood slowly, with grace but no expression, just calm, focused silence. A few people in the gallery rolled their eyes. "What's she even doing here?" one whispered. "Thought heroes didn't break laws." She didn't look like someone who belonged in handcuffs. But there she was, charged with excessive force in what prosecutors painted as a brutal overreaction during a parking lot dispute. The other party? A local businessman with political ties. He claimed she assaulted him. She claimed she acted in defense of a young woman he had cornered. Nobody seemed to care about that detail. The courtroom only saw a quiet woman who wouldn't speak up to defend herself. Her public defender was fresh out of law school. Her uniform? Long since stored away. Her past? Left completely unspoken because she never brought it up. And that was her choice, because she didn't think valor needed an audience. The prosecutor painted her as unstable, dangerous, someone with clear training in violence. The crowd nodded along. She remained quiet, until the moment her attorney stuttered through his closing remarks, and the judge, clearly unimpressed, leaned forward and said, "Do you have anything to say in your defense, Miss Daniels?" For a few seconds, she said nothing, just stood there, eyes low, breath even. And then softly she began, "There was a girl in danger. I saw it. I intervened. I didn't wait to be thanked." The prosecutor interrupted with a scoff. "You didn't wait because you don't respect law and order." That's when the courtroom door creaked open. An older man in full military dress uniform stepped inside, chest heavy with medals, eyes locked on the woman standing silently at the defendant's table. The judge raised an eyebrow. "Can I help you, sir?" The man cleared his throat. "My name is Colonel Richard Evans. I served 30 years in the United States Army. I'm here on behalf of the Department of Defense to testify about Miss Daniels's character, if the court will allow." Murmurs filled the room. The prosecutor objected. "Your Honor, this is irregular." But the judge leaned in. "I'll allow it." Colonel Evans walked to the stand. Miss Daniels served 3 tours in Afghanistan. She led a team that rescued hostages from a downed chopper under active fire. She once carried a wounded soldier on her back through 2 miles of enemy territory. She disarmed an explosive strapped to a child. She received the Medal of Honor 2 years ago, and never once told anyone. Because that's who she is. The room shifted instantly. Even the jury leaned forward, eyes wide. The judge looked stunned. "Miss Daniels, is this true?" She nodded slightly. "Yes, sir, but I didn't bring it up because being decorated doesn't excuse me from the law." The prosecutor, now visibly flustered, tried to pivot. "This doesn't change the facts of the assault." Colonel Evans turned sharply. "The man she stopped has a sealed record involving 2 previous assault complaints. One was dismissed, one settled. That's in the federal database. She stopped him from hurting someone else. That's not assault, that's courage." The judge sat back in silence. Then turning to Miss Daniels, he asked, "Why didn't you run, like most people would have?" She finally looked up. Her voice was still calm, but her eyes were on fire. "Because I didn't spend years risking my life overseas just to come home and watch someone be hurt while I stood by." The courtroom was completely still. Even the prosecutor didn't speak again. The jury deliberated for less than 20 minutes. Not guilty. When the verdict was read, there was no cheering, just a wave of silence, and then a slow, respectful nod from the judge. "Miss Daniels," he said, "this court owes you an apology. Not just for today, but for underestimating what quiet strength looks like." As she walked out of the courtroom, reporters rushed to her. "Why didn't you tell anyone you were a Medal of Honor recipient?" someone shouted. She paused, looked at the cameras, and replied, "Because I didn't save lives for recognition. I did it because it was right." And with that, she disappeared into the crowd. No headlines, no speeches, just the quiet woman they once laughed at, now leaving a courtroom filled with people too stunned to speak. Sometimes the loudest statement is made in silence. Sometimes the real hero never raises her voice. And sometimes the world doesn't clap until after the truth walks away. Before we end this story, let us in the comment, where are you watching from? If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel and hit that like button and drop a comment below.